Welcome back to the Sparrow Family Near the Window Part 2. Chinu and Meenu's story continues today, and something very special is about to happen. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with your friends, and tell us in the comments, what do you think will happen next? Let's begin our story. The Sparrow Family Near the Window, Part 2. The tiny crack in the egg slowly became bigger. Meenu watched carefully. Her heart felt full of excitement. She stayed very still so she would not disturb the little life inside the egg. Chinu stood near the nest, looking closely. Another small crack appeared. Then a tiny beak pushed through the shell again. The little bird inside was trying very hard to come out into the world. For several minutes, the egg moved slightly. The shell slowly broke into small pieces. Finally, a tiny wet baby sparrow appeared. It was very small and weak. Its feathers were not fully grown yet. Its eyes were closed, and its tiny body moved slowly. But it was alive. Meenu chirped softly with happiness. Chinu hopped closer and looked at the tiny baby with great care. Soon the little baby opened its tiny beak and made a soft sound. Cheep, cheep. It was the first sound of the new baby sparrow. The parents felt very proud. But the nest was not quiet for long. The second egg also began to shake. A small crack appeared on the shell. Chinu and Meenu watched with the same excitement again. Slowly, the shell broke apart, and another tiny baby sparrow came out. Now there were two tiny babies resting in the warm nest. Both of them were small and weak. Their bodies were pink and soft. Their eyes were still closed, but they moved their tiny heads and opened their small beaks. They were hungry, very hungry. Meenu gently cleaned the broken eggshells from the nest to keep the babies comfortable. Chinu quickly flew away to find food. The work of being parents had truly begun. Chinu flew across the garden, searching carefully. He looked under leaves. He looked near the ground. Soon he found tiny insects and small seeds. He picked them up carefully and flew back to the nest. The moment he arrived, both baby sparrows opened their mouths wide. Their tiny yellow beaks stretched upward. They chirped loudly. Cheep, cheep. Chinu placed a tiny piece of food into the first baby's mouth, then another piece into the second baby's mouth. The babies swallowed the food quickly. They were still very hungry. Meenu also flew out to search for more food. Now both parents worked together. Back and forth they flew, again and again. Every few minutes they returned with food. The babies chirped loudly whenever they heard the sound of their parents' wings. The small nest near the window was now filled with life and sound. Days passed like this. Every morning the sparrow parents woke up early. Before the sun rose completely, Chinu and Meenu began their search for food. They flew around the neighborhood. Sometimes they visited nearby trees. Sometimes they searched the ground near the garden. Sometimes they found tiny insects hiding under leaves. Every piece of food was important because the two baby sparrows were growing quickly. They ate many times during the day. The parents never rested for long. They worked with love and patience. At night, Meenu sat in the nest with the babies to keep them warm. Chinu stayed nearby, watching carefully for any danger. The house remained quiet and peaceful. No one disturbed the sparrow family. Slowly, the babies began to grow stronger. After several days, tiny, soft feathers began to appear on their bodies. Their movements became stronger. They stretched their little wings sometimes. They lifted their heads higher when they heard their parents arrive. One bright morning, something new happened. One of the baby sparrows slowly opened its eyes for the first time. The world looked bright and confusing. The baby blinked slowly. The light felt strange. Soon, the second baby also opened its eyes. Now they could see the inside of their small nest. They could see their parents clearly. They watched as Chinu landed beside them with food. They watched as Meenu cleaned the nest and arranged the soft feathers again. Everything around them was new and wonderful. The babies began to chirp louder now. They moved more inside the nest. Sometimes they gently pushed each other while waiting for food. Chinu and Meenu watched their babies with great pride. Each day the babies became bigger. Their feathers grew thicker. Their wings became stronger. Their voices became louder. The quiet corner near the window was now filled with happy chirping sounds throughout the day. Sometimes the babies tried to stand on their tiny legs. They wobbled a little. Then they fell softly back into the nest. But each day they improved. They practiced stretching their wings. Flap, flap. The wings were still small, but they were getting stronger. Outside the nest, the world continued its busy life. People walked on the streets. Trees moved gently in the wind. Other birds flew across the sky. But inside the little nest, a beautiful family was growing. One afternoon, a soft breeze blew near the window. The baby sparrows felt the wind on their feathers for the first time. It felt strange but exciting. They chirped happily. Meenu watched them carefully. Soon they would be big enough to explore the outside world. But not yet. They still needed to grow stronger. Chinu continued bringing food many times every hour. Sometimes he returned with a big insect. The babies would become very excited. They stretched their necks high and opened their mouths wide. Meenu divided the food carefully between them. Both babies ate happily. The parents always made sure both babies received enough food. They loved their babies equally. As days passed, the nest became a little crowded. The babies were no longer tiny. Their feathers now covered most of their bodies. Their eyes were bright and curious. They often looked outside the nest. They could see the blue sky through the window. They could see trees moving gently in the wind. Sometimes they saw other birds flying freely. The babies watched those birds carefully. They wondered how it would feel to fly. One evening, as the sun slowly began to set, the sky turned beautiful shades of orange and pink. The sparrow family sat quietly in their nest. The babies rested beside their mother. Chinu sat near the edge of the ledge. The warm evening light filled the small space near the window. The babies looked at the sky. It was peaceful and calm. Soon they would be strong enough to explore that big sky themselves. But for now, they were safe inside their small nest, protected by their loving parents. And every gentle chirp in the quiet evening reminded them that they were not alone. They were part of a small but happy sparrow family. Did you enjoy this sweet sparrow story? If you want to see Chinu, Meenu, and their babies again, don't forget to subscribe to Little Sparrow Family and tell us in the comments what should happen next in their story. We can't wait to read your ideas. See you in the next adventure.